we need to talk about something that's quietly reshaping the country. A silent killer of the middle class. It's a phenomenon that many are now calling the rent trap, and it's fundamentally changing the American dream as we know it.
So let's just get right to the heart of it. Why does it feel like buying a starter home is, well, mathematically impossible for so many of us? You run the numbers, you do the math, and it just doesn't seem to add up anymore. But here's the thing you have to understand. This isn't just about prices being high. It's about a fundamental shift in who you're competing against to buy that home in the first place. To really get what's happening today, we've got to go back. We have to rewind the clock to 2008 and the Great Financial Crisis. Because what was an absolute catastrophe for millions of American families, well, it turned out to be the opportunity of a lifetime for a completely new kind of buyer. Okay, so check this out. It really was the perfect storm. The market starts showing cracks in 2007, and then, bam, total collapse in 2008. What followed was a tsunami of foreclosures sweeping the nation. By 2010, the country was just flooded with millions of single-family homes being sold at absolute fire sale prices. I mean, the inventory was massive and the prices had hit rock bottom. And this right here. This is where the entire story pivots. Because while most Americans saw financial ruin and empty houses, Wall Street saw something completely different. They saw a gold mine. They saw a chance to build a brand new financial empire right on the ashes of the old American dream. And this is what they created, the single-family rental market, or SFR for short. Now, this just wasn't a thing on this scale before 2008. We're not talking about some company owning a few rental properties. No. This was about systematically turning the classic suburban home into a financial asset class, something that could be bought, sold, and traded on Wall Street just like a stock or a bond. And boy, did they have a playbook. You had these massive players, private equity firms, real estate investment trusts, also known as REITs, and they had access to billions in incredibly cheap money. Their strategy? It was simple, and it was brutally effective. Buy up thousands upon thousands of these foreclosed homes at a time. They literally transformed a national disaster into a profit-generating machine. So this wasn't some abstract financial strategy happening on a computer screen somewhere. This created a real-world fight. A direct but often invisible competition between regular families trying to buy a home and these multi-billion-dollar corporations. Now, you might hear that corporations only own a small percentage of all the homes nationally, and that's technically true, but that number is incredibly misleading. See, they aren't buying everywhere. They're concentrating their firepower on high-growth Sunbelt cities. Think Atlanta, Phoenix, Tampa. In those hot markets, they're snatching up a huge portion of the available starter homes. And this just perfectly illustrates how unfair the fight really is. Imagine you're a family. You need a mortgage. That takes weeks. You need contingencies, an inspection to make sure the roof isn't about to collapse. But then the corporate buyer swoops in. All cash offer. No contingencies. They can close the deal in just a few days. If you're the seller, the choice is a no-brainer. The family simply doesn't stand a chance. Okay, so the corporation buys the house. But what's it actually like to rent from them? Let me tell you. It is a world away from renting from a local mom-and-pop landlord. This is a system run by data, by algorithms, designed for one thing, maximizing profit. Humanity? Well, that's not really part of the calculation. This corporate landlord model is a cold, four-step process. First, they acquire the homes in bulk. Second, they use sophisticated algorithms to analyze all the data and squeeze out the absolute maximum rent the market will bear. Third, they layer on fees for just about everything you can imagine. And finally, automation. The data shows that these mega landlords are far more likely to automate the eviction process at the very first sign of trouble. One of our sources really hit the nail on the head with this quote. It's all about turning housing into a cold, heartless financial product. And that's really what's at stake. A home stops being a home. It's just a line item on a spreadsheet, an asset that has to perform. The relationship between landlord and tenant? It's gone. It's just a transaction. So, where is this all going? What does the future look like? Well, the chilling part is that this isn't just some temporary trend. The long-term consequences could lead to the creation of something America has never really had before, a permanent renter class. And this right here, this is the very engine of the rent trap. A family gets outbid on their dream home by a corporation. Then they're forced to rent, often from that exact same company. And because the rent is set algorithmically high, it's nearly impossible to save up enough for a down payment to ever try buying again. It's a vicious cycle, and it's incredibly difficult to escape. For generations, home ownership has been the primary way the American middle class has built wealth. It allows families to build equity, but this alternative, a life of permanent renting, means your single largest monthly expense builds zero wealth for you. Instead, you're just paying off an investor's portfolio. This is a fundamental rewriting of the rules of economic mobility in this country. In response to all this, some really tough policy questions are starting to be debated. Should there be new regulations on corporations buying up homes in bulk? What about rent caps, or maybe even special taxes aimed specifically at these large institutional landlords? These are the complex, difficult conversations that are happening right now. And that leaves us with this one final, powerful question. If the single-family home, the ultimate symbol of middle-class stability and building a future, is now just another asset in a Wall Street portfolio, what does that mean for the American dream itself? Is it still something you can own, or is it now just something you can rent?